Welcome back to Claris Engage. I'm Hazel Moreno, and I help run the most amazing team of coders in the world at SmallCo. Some of the coders here are Anya Stojanovic, Salman Sheikh, and drumroll please, the one, the only, most well-dressed coder in the world, Adnan Erkocevic. SmallCo has built a suite of apps called The Big Dig, and this is the final of 3 sessions on how we built it. Our team is awesome, which means our teamwork is awesome. My session showed how a goal specification guides everything we do. And Salman's session dug deep into the APIs for equipment telematics. Now, Adnan will take us on another deep dive, this time into an app we built with React Native and the FileMaker data API. I present to you Adnan. Now, please take note of how Otto is rocking those red shorts as only Otto can.
Thank you.
Now, some of you will say, who is this fellow? We are here to tell you that Otto is the best dressed SmallCosian. In addition, in his professional life, he's built many apps for municipalities in and around Sweden, especially Gothenburg. If you happen to be in Gothenburg, he will be happy to be your tour guide. In his spare time, he is also a radio DJ. And if you were to ask him, he would tell you that they pay him to teach coding. Now, of course, as you know, his proper name is Adnan, but his friends, family, and strangers call him Otto, Otto, and Otto. I present to you Otto.
Thank you, Salman. Thank you, Hazel, and thank you, Anya, for those applauded. I'm sorry that I couldn't be here with more of my fashion creations, but I will try to talk about something else. It's React Native and FileMaker, and after this you are going to say, yeah, FileMaker and React, they pair very well. And I did some, I was making a survey, and Salman Sheikh said, when it comes to APIs, ETL is dabomb.com. And I called Albert once on his satellite phone, and he said, ETL is for asymmetrical APIs. But now over to the real stuff. React Native is the front-end builder that we used to create a workaround checklist app, and I'm going to talk about the data API and the FileMaker, how we connect that, authentication, and how everything works together. So we are going to deep dive under the hood, or deep dig under the hood, as our friends at our client would said.
So we showed you the walk-around checklist in my session, and I invite you to take a look at the demo in that session. Otto will do a brief demo here as one of his session chapters. But first, a reminder of the teamwork structure we used to build all of the Big Dig apps.
And as you can see, we really work hard at SmallCo, even in between the lobster rolls and Salman's dad jokes. But really, making a project like this run smoothly takes careful attention and clear process, and that's what Hazel and Salman have already been showing you.
So you'll recall we start with a goal spec that comes from careful listening to our clients. Our team carefully writes this all down in the goal spec, and then we hand that document off to the designers and coders who build the app. When they've got something we can work with, we test the app under realistic circumstances, and after addressing the issues that come up, we deliver to the client. To the bottom right, you will see our business partner and client, John Woolwent, and to his left, you will see Alberto Abreu in Dominican Republic, who is also one of our clients. And so the circle is complete. It looks easy, right? Well, it's pretty simple in a way, but it takes management to get it right. This project started out being led by my godfather, Albert, and my godsister, Jana. But now we are extremely proud to announce that the amazing Susan Allred-Prosser is guiding the Big Dig project. And Anya has run the walk-around checklist work.
So let's not wait no more. Hazel got to go to a wedding. Let's dig under the hood and take a look at React Native.
Hello and welcome to my Claris Engage online session. I'm going to talk about incorporating React Native as a front-end solution for a FileMaker system called Big Dig. My name is Adnan and I work with SmallCo. Let me start with the background of the app we are going to talk about here. React Native app that we built is called Walk Around Checklist, and it's built for a long-term SmallCo client called Crush It. It's not Crush IT, it's Crush It. As the name says, they crush things, particularly asphalt and concrete. To be able to do that, Crush It uses lots of heavy equipment, such as crushers, loaders, and excavators. Even though the equipment is robust, it requires a certain amount of daily care in order to last longer and not cause stops on building sites that can cost a lot of money for our client and in turn their clients as well. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, Benjamin Franklin once said. We made an app that helps hard-working people at Crush It inspect their valuable heavy equipment on a daily basis. Every morning, when they come to their work site, users pick up their mobile devices and go for a walk around. Walk Around the Checklist app serves both as a guidance in what has to be checked using nicely marked images, so even a newbie at work could use it, and as a reporting tool where every checkpoint is sent to a FileMaker solution that handles everything in the backend. If something is wrong, users can write a short notice of what was wrong or what could be wrong or break in the future, take a picture of it and send to FileMaker. Many users use the same equipment and they are presented with a checklist for exactly the machine they are working on. In this way, Crush It has a general picture and overview over the whole fleet of over 100 vehicles deployed all over the United States. So, how come we chose React Native to develop this app? Answer is simple. React Native helps us build cross-platform apps, killing two birds with one stone, iOS and Android, and preparing the system for vertical market release in the future. FileMaker solution in the backend and native apps in the front end. Perfect match, I think. React Native is created by Facebook and it's a framework that allows us build native mobile apps using JavaScript. Facebook and Instagram obviously uses React Native in their apps, but even Tesla, Skype, Airbnb, Discord, and many others. In the next couple of videos, I will walk you through the process of making this app happen using FileMaker and React Native. React Native is truly JavaScript magic, and it was built on the React JavaScript that was originally created by Facebook internally for their internal uses for their web and their applications. It was a JavaScript library that they used to build user interface. Then Facebook openly released React and React Native. React Native came out in 2015, and it has already a really huge community out there that is helping drive that forward. It's a seamless cross-platform library, and it's truly native apps that are coming out of the React Native code. In the ground, it provides view, text, and image components that map directly to platforms' native UI building blocks. One of the key advantages of React Native is code reuse, and specifically code reuse between iOS and Android, because you write one piece of code that just works on both platforms. They are actually translated into the native codes of iOS and Android. And that gives us possibility to occasionally go inside each of those platform codes and adjust something that is maybe required for your particular project. That's rarely used, and it's used in maybe some kind of very advanced settings or very advanced apps, or where the difference between iOS and Android is too big to overlap by a React Native component. Most of the components that we can use that are free to download from the NPM packet managers or Yarn package managers, those overlap all of the differences between between iOS and Android. But in some cases, it's possible to go inside each and one of them and adjust the code as you want. This gives us quicker development time. You can save a lot of time with this, and it, of course, reduces the costs. There are three important concepts of React Native, and they are props, state, and components. Props stands for properties, and they are used to send data between the components. State is used for the data that is going to change, and components, they are the building blocks of the application. Components can be functional components and class components, and they are basically JavaScript functions and JavaScript classes. So let me show you how the code looks like. Here is the code for the walk-around checklist app. Here is the folder structure. The most of these files are automatically generating at init. This is the entry point index.js file. So there are JavaScript files, they are called JS. You can also use TypeScript in order to get an even better type scripting. JavaScript is loosely typed, and if you want to use TypeScript, you can use that here. Some of those files you can recognize from other JavaScript frameworks if you have worked with that. Those files, gitignore or getattributes, those are GitHub files generated for that. Node modules contains modules that are also automatically installed when you install some kind of JavaScript module that is necessary for your app or that you want to use. iOS and Android folders are specific to iOS and Androids. So those contain files as you would see them if you use Xcode for iOS, or Android files are the files as you would see them if you used Android Studio for building your Android app. But here they are generated automatically. And I only go into those folders if I install a new JavaScript module here using some package manager like npm. And those modules usually provide instructions on how to fit them for cross-platform use. So I read the documentation, usually the introduction part, and adjust something if needed. Usually it's not needed, but those rare cases when it's needed, I have to go to the Android and change something in the build Gradle or app build Gradle, for example. My files are here. in the app folder. So everything I wrote for walk around the checklist app is here. And I have separated the files into the actions, assets, components, configuration file, reducers, and screens. Screens are the obviously screens that you see in the app. Then we have reducers. Reducers are files that are helping reduce the actions that are stored in our Redux store. I use a module called Redux for storing the states of the app. And that's something that is special for React. In those JavaScript components and files that we write, we use states instead of variables, or instead of if you think of the database, instead of fields in the database. So this app stores states. And some special components that I wrote, I store here. Welcome back to this section about authentication. I'm going to show how I connected the React Native app with the data API of the FileMaker. Here you can see the files, all files of this React Native app. Most of them are created by an app initialization process. I basically worked with the files in this folder here. I've separated it from the other files here that I don't usually work with. And when we open this folder, you can see the folders of the components, configuration, where I store the configuration files, screens, etc. I'm trying to write as many functions and in as many files as possible, and that for the reason of be able to reuse the code later, or be able to debug more quickly. So this is the entrance file of this application, index.js, and it's basically a JavaScript file. You can use TypeScript as well, but you need to have the different file name here. It has to be called TSX. And this index file is calling the navigator file in this app folder. So this is my own entry point to the app, and navigator is helping us navigate through the app. I'm using a component that is called React Native Navigator that you can just install in your terminal. So here is the authentication flow. We check here if the user token is null, then we show the login screen. So if you haven't been logged in before, you are shown with the login screen. And let's see what the login screen does. Login screen file is here under the screens, and it helps us collect the username and password using this UI here. And if you are familiar with the HTML, you can maybe recognize some of this stuff here, or if you have been working with React JS, it's very similar to that. So in the user interface, we collect username or email and password, and we send that to a function called handle submit that is receiving that as a value here. I extract email and password from the values prop here, and then I am building a login string that is email : password that I later encode in the base 64 using the base 64 encoding. That string that I get by base 64 encoding this string is sent to a FileMaker. using a link or using a request that it's a regular HTML post request that I sent to this address on this server. So this is a configuration file of a JavaScript module called Axios, and I'm calling this, and I'm using this Axios to post a request to this link, sending an empty payload here and setting the headers of that request with authorization, basic, and I here inject the string that is base64 encoded in order to authenticate this app to the FileMaker and FileMaker Data API. So this is the call that we do to a FileMaker Data API in order to authenticate this app. So when we are authenticated, we are getting a response from FileMaker Data API, and that response is a token. It's a session token that is valid for 15 minutes, or when we last time called this FileMaker API. So if we make more API calls, then this token session time is prolonged. It's valid for 15 minutes after the last call. So we are setting this token as a common header to this Axios component that I use in order to communicate with the data API. And the thing that's happening after that is that I call another function that is a helper function where I use email, and I'm basically getting and setting lots of parameters in this app that I'm fetching from the FileMaker Data API, and then I'm setting this token that we talked about already, and this token is telling us that we are logged in. So when this token is no longer null, then we are presented with the home screen, and the login screen is getting unmounted. So it's not longer there. So from this home screen, we can do whatever we want to do in the later part of the app. There is another feature here that I implemented, and that is basically getting a credential if you have been logged in before. And that's done here. So it's in this Navigator app. So if I was logged in before, then I store the credential in a secure way in the keychain. And when I start it up again, in the Navigator file, those credentials gets extracted from the keychain and set up for the use. So you don't have to log in again next time you are here. So when you click on sign out, then those credentials are resetted. So that's basically a glance of authorization flow in this React Native app for the FileMaker Data API. Welcome back to my session about React Native and FileMaker. In this section, I'm going to talk about FileMaker Data API that was crucial in getting this app done. You will get a chance to hear from my fellow SmallCosians that worked with the Data API implementation. So let's call them. So let me introduce Milan and Anya that worked with the Data API. Data API allows React Native app that is in the front end to communicate with FileMaker that is backend platform. So can you guys tell us
now what you did on this project. Let us start with Anya.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Anya, and I was working as a project manager for walk-around checklist. I was managing a team of 3 FileMaker developers, Ado as a React developer, and also there were 2 designers involved. And I was really happy to be able to see the app happening from start to finish. So I'm going to show you how it started. Our clients are in construction, and they do have a fleet working on job sites. Before they start doing their work, each machine needs to be inspected. So this is example of a checklist that they used to have on the field. Each operator was giving instruction on a piece of paper. So it was actually a printed piece of paper that they were having in their arms, and they were starting the inspection around the machine. Process of reporting was also problematic. The data was not consistent. Operators had to text their fleet managers or foremen. They had to take pictures with their phones and send them over, etc. So this is not really a good way to go and to collect the data about possible issues on machines. So that's why we came up with the walk-around checklist app. As Ado said, it was developed in React, and it's communicating with FileMaker file using data API. I'm going to show you how the end result looks in a FileMaker file. So this is a FileMaker layout showing issues reported by React app. Here you can see some of the records showing the machine name, the job the machine is on, the date when incident was reported, and what was the actual reported issue. The app itself also collects the images, so operator can take a picture of an issue and report it back. It all gets back sent to a FileMaker file.
So let us go over to Milan. Milan, what was your role in this project? Can you tell us?
Hi guys, my name is Milan. I will share my screen now so you can see what I got initially. Okay. All right. So once Anya kind of like thought through whatever materials she got from the client, she have sent me this workflow or this diagram showing which steps needs to be which step would be needed in order to process and complete something that we call workaround checklist. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4 thing, but it can be separated in two halves. So one half would be we need to kind of like get something from FileMaker, which in this case would be a set of questions related to a particular machine that the member of staff needs to check. And the other part is sending the things that the answers back to FileMaker, sometimes together with the photos if they like to take the photo, or just notes or whatever kind of data that need to be sent as a feedback. It was very easy. I have to give kudos to FileMaker Data API because it really works fast. It is great, and it is relatively simple to implement because we have there is an interesting link here that every FileMaker developer that wants to work with Data API should use, in my opinion. That gives us a set of requests specially designed for Postman, provided by our colleague Wim de Korte. So here you can download this set of requests, and then you can upload it to Postman, and then you get your, like a number of examples that are very useful.
It's like templates.
It's like a template, yes, that you can download in Postman. It's bigger than this. It has more possible scenarios, but I took whatever I needed from there to kind of like cover for this diagram. So I created these 7 requests in Postman. This is requesting the token. Then we had to get a staff key based on emails entered, then the machine key and the checklist key, because each member of staff is appointed to a particular machine, but also sometimes they can change sites and work on some other machine, and they need to be able to download the particular, to choose the machine that they want to check, and also then the app will download the particular set of questions that are related to that particular machine, so he can use them. The questions are also defined in FileMaker, so somebody in the administration is writing down the questions, putting the machine key to them, and then the app is every time that the staff member logs in, the app would kind of like sync the appropriate questions and allow the guy to do his checking.
So basically, they have you have got up and set. So basically, it's a set of HTTP GET and POST requests. There are regular requests that you use online, wherever website you are building for, or whatever.
Well, to use it online, whatever website you are building for, the Postman is kind of like the point of reference, or that everybody, or very popular point of reference, where we can kind of like import and test our APIs.
Yeah.
From here, there is a code, like a number of code snippets provided. So once when you get a good request, when you know that it's working in Postman, you can go here and kind of like choose your platform in which you would want to incorporate this request in various ways. So in this case, Ado, as a React developer, I have chosen JavaScript fetch because it's similar to whatever he might be using in his code. I have sent him okay, once when we thought through all these requests, I have sent him the appropriate codes, and from there on, my job was done. Practically, I never even thought about it from there on, and at the end, I can just see an amazing app, and we have a really no negative feedback at all. It's just working.
Thank you, Gar. Thank you, guys. It was very interesting to see how you did your part of the work and how we did it together. I think it's a very easy way to come up with an app that is so complex that it is, even if it looks simple. But one question for Milan is how easy or how hard is it to implement data API in a FileMaker project?
It is super easy. I mean, just by a couple of clicks, or not more than 2 or 3 clicks, you can set it up on the FileMaker server, and with this set of examples that we have, we can kind of like create any kind of share it with a developer of any almost any third-party software. And then from there, it's all about setting a couple of tables or a couple of features in FileMaker that would just work with it, and that's it. It's really, I find it very easy, and also, which is great, very reliable. Where it's not so it's working really good. No complaints, no slowness, no glitches, no bottlenecks, nothing like that happens actually.
That's really nice to hear. And from your point of view, Anya, as a project manager, how is it to speak about data API calls, managing between the different kinds of developers?
Well, in this case, it was really easy, and the project was really running smoothly. Not only because of the skills of developers that I was working with, but also the implementation itself is not really hard to do. So there were not many issues to work with, and the project really went really smoothly. And the end result, as Milan said, is really fast app that is reliable, and we have a happy clients.
So thank you guys for letting us know your insights and how you did your parts of jobs. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes,
Adam.
you're welcome.
Bye.
Thanks, Anna.
In this section, we are going to take a quick peek at the files. Here you can see the folder structure of the walkaround project. This is the code for the walkaround checklist app, and it contains even Android and iOS folder, and those are the files that you would use if you were Android or iOS developer. In some special cases, you would need to go inside those files and make some adjustments for maybe some modules that you use in order to work. My files are here in the folder called app. I've tried to separate all the files in so many small files and functions as possible. And I like to separate them in the folders to be able to reuse them later, or to be able to debug the app easier and quicker. Navigator file is the file that contains the navigation. I use React Native Navigation that is open source and free to install and use. It has very good documentation that you can take a look at their webpage. I also use a couple of screens here, and I have home screen and login screen here. Those files contain the user interfaces for the screens, and in the utils folder I have two helper files with the helper functions. Here is a login helper file with a function that is helping me get all the parameters from the FileMaker at the starting point when I start the app. So app has to communicate with the FileMaker, getting a couple of parameters that are used in the app, and there is also an API helper that is helping the app communicate with the FileMaker further on when it's used. So we can take a look how it looks like in a simulator. You can start the app by typing this command here, and the simulator is open like this. I will log into the app here, and I see home screen here. From the home screen, I can choose to start my checklist, and now a list of questions is fetched from the FileMaker, and the image as well as we click on the button. So here is the item 1 of 17, and the user is instructed or advised to grease all 19 points of this excavator, and if something is wrong, he or she has to report it here, write a comment here, attach an image, and send it to the FileMaker. Otherwise, if everything is okay, they just click an OK button and go to the next question. This is question screen here, and everything is done in one single file that changes the content of it as it proceeds. There is one interesting helper feature for the developers here. You can use Chrome to debug the app, and every state of the app is shown here as you navigate or as you use this app. So you can, by using this app, take a look at all the internal states of the app, and here you can easily debug the app and find something if something is wrong. Welcome back to my final session on this React Native and FileMaker Claris Engage online session. Walk Around Checklist app that we've talked about here in the couple of sections was natively released for iOS and Android mobile devices. Given the simplicity of the design, same code works for even iPads and tablets without any adjustments whatsoever. This app has been very well received by the client, and I hope that many more users will come to use it in the future, especially when we come to the point of releasing the vertical market solution that this app is a part of. Launching current version of this app was done using Apple Business Account. All of our clients' mobile devices are registered with their Apple Business Account, where they can manage all apps on their devices. We used custom delivery function that made Walk Around Checklist app available only to their devices. They are able to centrally install the app to all of their users. For the future releases, we are discussing collection of the GPS data for the heavy equipment and the vehicles. But we have lots of other ideas on next steps that we can make in order to improve the app and make life easier for the users and increase the profit for our client. I hope you've liked my session on React Native and FileMaker. I'm convinced that this combination is a great way to accomplish better solutions. Two cutting-edge technologies that are robust, flexible, and that work seamlessly together. Please let me know if you have any ideas on how we could make this even better, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to help. Thank you.